Welcome to Flow of Miracles Reflective Moments. Today I am continuing the childhood series, and this is the third installment about childhood healing. So don't forget to listen to the childhood episode or the childhood development episodes if you haven't listened to it yet. So today I'm talking about childhood healing from the perspective of being the adult. That means that you will reflect back on your childhood as the adult you are, or maybe as the young adult you are, if you're noticing already that you need childhood healing from a young age. So it's very important to heal our childhood because if we want to grow into well rounded adults, we need to heal our childhood wounds. If we do not, we stay codependent, we have problems regulating our emotions, we are dealing with a lot of self sabotage, and often it means that we're not able to build long lasting, healthy bonds. So today, let's look at our childhoods from an adult perspective and try to see what happened in our childhoods and what it is that we need to heal our childhood. So the first reflective question is, what needs weren't met in your childhood? In a perfect world, all our needs are being met. From the moment we're born till the moment we are having an independent life from our parents. But the truth is, of course, that our parents aren't perfect and that sometimes they're stressed and sometimes they're sick and sometimes they make mistakes and sometimes they are still stuck in their own traumas. So that means our needs aren't always being met. Sometimes it's a need to have the kind of support that is unconditional. Sometimes it's the need to be loved and treasured. Sometimes it's a need to be encouraged to be ourselves or to try a new activity. There are many needs that children have. So, looking back on your childhood, look to places where you were in pain, places where you felt alone, places where you felt something was missing or where you were sad or upset. Look at the kind of relationships you saw your friends have with their parents and that might have made you feel jealous or upset. And take a good look at what needs weren't met. Try to do that with an open mind and not in a way that you feel like you need to judge your parents for dropping the ball. Parenthood has changed a lot from being able to keep your children alive to being able to give them an education to being able to actually make sure that their needs are being met and they grow up into well-rounded adults. So parenting has definitely gotten a lot more difficult in the busy world we live in. And that means that more often than not, parents drop the ball. So it's very important that when we check out what needs weren't being met, that we actually do that from a frame of understanding and forgiveness. So if you notice that you're getting very upset from this question, make sure that you actually do some forgiveness exercises so you're able to focus on yourself and what you need instead of being focused in anger on your parents. Because getting your needs met is much more important than actually being angry and actually staying stuck in hatred. Of course, there are some true unity videos that you can also do to make sure that you can focus on yourself and your own healing. So the next reflective question is, what harm was done in your childhood? While it would be a perfect world if no harm was being done to children, sadly that is not the case. Maybe you were bullied, maybe you had problems in school, maybe you got a childhood illness, maybe you were abused physically, emotionally, or sexually. Sadly, there's a lot of harm that can be done in childhood, especially because children tend to want to feel like their parents love them and want the best for them, even when that's not the case. Children often feel like their friends are able to be only loving and want the best for them, only to find out that friends can be jealous, friends can be hurtful, and friends can turn out not to be the people you thought they were. So, harm done in childhood tends to reverberate a lot in our lives, and it's sometimes very difficult to connect back to the harm that was done to us. Sometimes because the harm can be very small in what was done, but still have a large impact. For example, if you're doubting yourself, a teacher saying, I don't think that's a good idea, can have a long lasting impact because you fear to take the next step. You are not encouraged to actually strive for something and you make yourself small. And it was just a thoughtless saying from a teacher that often they do without thinking and without understanding the impact it might have had. If you are, of course, in a supportive environment that is encouraging to you, one such word from a teacher will not upset you. But if you are missing encouragement, if you're missing support, another person not believing in your potential means that that is another brick in the wall between you and your goals. So harm can start from the smallest little seed and build into something big with its impact. So looking back at what harm was done in your childhood, try to be honest about what happened to you, even if that's painful to look back on, even if you feel you might have been over exaggerating how much something has hurt you. But in childhood, often our emotions are still very big. That is why we say little kids, big feelings. And when we look back as adults, we do not need to rationalize that our parents were just tired or sick. We don't need to rationalize that a teacher was just burned out or didn't see our potential. We need to actually stand by our child self and actually acknowledge harm being done. And last but not least, the reflective question is, what can you do to improve your childhood? I like the saying, it's never too late to have a good childhood. And that means that we cannot actually go back in time and make sure that our child self gets their needs met and no harm is being done to them. But we can look at what we still need and what we can still give ourselves. I know a lot of adults that gave themselves the toys that they needed as a child but weren't able to get. And I know adults that were able to give themselves the creative outlet they needed, or maybe the dreams that were never realized, whether it's going on a holiday or doing an activity, or maybe even sitting on a swing set and allowing yourself the pure joy of swinging and allowing yourself to feel all those childhood delights that you missed out on. So you can still improve your childhood by forgiveness. You can still improve your childhood by having your needs met. You can still improve your childhood by giving yourself what you need. I always say that being an adult is wonderful because it gives us the freedom to actually give ourselves what we need. We are no longer dependent on a parent, a teacher, a sibling, a friend. We are adults. We have the freedom to give ourselves what we need, and we should take it. So try to improve your childhood by giving yourself what you need and giving yourself the delight in receiving those things. It is very healing to improve your childhood as an adult and to actually understand that what you need is never far away and what you can give yourself is always there if you are willing to listen to yourself. So I hope you learned something about healing your childhood, and don't forget to like and subscribe and listen to the rest of this series.